Hello and welcome to the Keep It Local Maine podcast, where we tell the stories of local business owners and Maine residents and learn more about what they do, who and what inspires them, their challenges, successes, and more. My name is Todd Regalinski.
And I am Kimberly Regalinski.
And we are the publishers of Keep It Local Maine, a local magazine that helps showcase local businesses to the people in and around their communities. Thank you for tuning in to our weekly podcast that you can subscribe to on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can learn more about us at keepitlocalmaine.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the links in the show notes.
This episode is sponsored by Fabian Oil, a family-owned and operated business that offers heating oil and propane delivery, services, and repairs. Fabian has been serving central and northern Maine with propane and oil for over 30 years. As a local Maine business, they cherish the relationships they have formed by serving the people of their communities. In 2019, Fabian entered the southern Maine region with a heating oil acquisition, and they have recently brought propane to the market. They are aggressive and would love to be your supplier. Give them a call at 207-793-2044 or visit fabianoil.com.
In this episode, we'll be talking with CEO, author, and speaker Kevin Hancock. Kevin is an award-winning author, speaker, and CEO of Hancock Lumber Company, a family-owned Maine business in operation since 1848 that is a six-time recipient of the Best Places to Work in Maine Award, the Governor's Award for Business Excellence, the MITC Exporter of the Year Award, and the Pro Sales National Dealer of the Year. Kevin's first book, Not for Sale, Finding Center in the Land of Crazy Horse, won 3 National Book Awards. His second book, The Seventh Power, One CEO's Journey into the Business of Shared Leadership, was released in February 2020. He is an advocate of strengthening the voices of all individuals within a company or a community through listening, empowering, and sharing leadership.
Welcome to the show, Kevin. We are so excited to have you here today.
Well, I'm super happy to be with you both. Thanks so much for having me.
I am so excited because I love learning about leadership, and I was able to, I've watched your TED Talks many times, and just every time I watch it, I just feel so inspired. So it's super exciting to have you with us today. And one of the questions I had is, people search their whole life looking for their purpose, and you found yours through a painful event. Can you tell us about that?
I can, yeah. So first, I'm the CEO of Hancock Lumber, of course, and in 2010, kind of at the peak of the housing market collapse, which was a super difficult time for our industry, I began to have trouble speaking, long story short, and it turned out I'd acquired a rare neurological voice disorder called spasmodic dysphonia, which has no known cause and no known cure. But from a leadership standpoint, the issue was I was trying to help lead our company through a super difficult time, and suddenly I couldn't really talk. And I never thought about it this way before. But if you're a leader or a CEO, in my case, your tool is your voice, and I suddenly couldn't use it, and it really made me wonder if I was even going to be able to keep doing my job. But essentially what happened was I had to quite quickly come up with a new approach to leading that involved not talking very much. And that led me down a pretty simple trail at that point. If you're not going to talk a lot, you're going to listen a lot. And so I really ended up kind of flipping my approach to leadership from talking to listening, from being on the stage to sharing the stage. And in time, what I saw is pretty much everything about our company got better, and everything about how it felt to do my job got easier. And I've just since now for a decade been doubling down again on this idea of leaders dispersing power, sharing leadership, and giving voices to others. And I came to see in time the partial restrictions of my own voice as an opportunity to strengthen the voices of others. And today, I'm just really into an organizational approach in which everybody leads and everybody speaks for the company. But I got there completely by accident, and as you said, I got there through essentially a disorder, a health disorder.
It's so inspiring. I love what you said. There was on your website, I was reading, it said leadership in the 21st century must be about dispersing power and giving others a stronger voice. Followers must become leaders in order to create change within. Every human spirit is sacred by design. Organizations must learn to free the human spirit rather than constrict, control, and direct it. I love that. That's so powerful. And so in that, what are some basic steps that business owners that have employees or CEOs can take to move toward that?
Yeah, it's really simple conceptually, but maybe hard to do for people who aren't used to it. It really, to me, is all about restraint. So it's about the idea of those who have the most power by virtue of their title or position, not using it, and creating space and time for others to lead, for others to share their voice. So it's really about, which is counterintuitive, it's about leaders or managers actually doing less, not more, and really focusing more on the culture of the organization and creating a platform for truth and authenticity to surface. You think about it, any organization, if people feel safe to just be their authentic selves, say what they think, be who they are, be at peace as they are. Just think about how transformational that one template can be. It really changes everything. And I might just quickly add, it really, to me, is about thinking about the higher calling of, in this case, the place of work or company. Like, what's its purpose? This has really led me to rethink that question. And to me, a great company has multiple purposes, but the first one is to be meaningful and valuable to the people who work there. I've really adopted what I've come to talk about as an employee-centric view of the company. The first job of the company is to be a place where the people who work there really are taking value, not just economic value, but spirit, humanistic, real deep value.
I love that. So powerful.
Yeah. Have you noticed now in some of the other CEOs or other people who I've imagined you've talked to about, dispersing leadership, dispersing kind of power. How do you see that as being harder for those people? Because for you kind of didn't have a ton of choices in changing your style. How do you think it's harder for other people who they don't necessarily have to do it that way?
Right. That's so true. I really have come to see my voice condition as a gift or a blessing, actually, from my own soul, if you will. So I got this big boost or push into this new way of thinking, and it is very different from the traditional top-down, power to the center, hierarchy-driven way of thinking. So I think it is a bit more difficult for those who haven't been forced into it. But if you take a big step back and kind of look at the highest themes of the 21st century, of the kind of the dawning of the Aquarian age, if you will. I think they're all about dispersed power. I think we've been living for centuries in a social model which is about power to the center, the capital, the empire. But really, in this day and age, the age of the internet and dispersed information, dispersed energy production, and if you watch voices around the world, I think you're seeing this is the age of the individual, I guess is what I would say, which really means the individual coming into his and her own power and realizing that I am, in and of myself, an empire in the best sense of the word. I'm important. I'm sacred. I'm worthy. And this doesn't mean that organizations aren't still going to be critical. Humans have to collaborate, but it's going to change the meaning, the purpose of those organizations. Those organizations, as I said, are going to first exist to serve the people who belong to them. And then the organization ends up thriving as the result of a higher calling. Like our performance as a company has improved pretty dramatically in the years following taking up this approach. But that's, to me, the outcome of something bigger and more important, which is really just celebrating. I mean, I don't want to overdo it, but humanity, the sacredness of each person and honoring everybody as they are. It's actually kind of getting back to a simpler approach. And when you just honor everybody as they are and don't feel like you have to fix, control, change, regulate, direct everybody, think about how much easier life gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, and I like how that approach also inherently kind of incorporates some type of perspective. Like you have the individual, but it's the perspective of how the individual then fits into the larger picture as well, rather than just a total focus on the individual. It also then it readjusts the perspective of everything else around that as well.
For sure.
So another question that I had for you is, how does it feel now that you have found that purpose?
Well, I think it's twofold. That was such a great question. First, I do think it's simplifying, I guess is the first thing I would say. And it really brings focus because you kind of know what you're about. And yet at the same time, I think it's humbling because you're never really done, of course, finding purpose and finding meaning and growing. So once you had a taste of clarity, I think it just makes you even hungrier to want to stay in a humble, centered place where you can keep growing. And the mystery of what's next gets more exciting. If someone had asked me in 2008 what was going to happen to me in 2010 and given me 1,000 guesses, I wouldn't have come up with this.
It's just powerful. So how does that, you were talking about how there's almost this excitement to see what's next. How does that open your eyes and really motivate you for each day?
I think simply put, I just get up in the morning and I see the good in everybody. Like we have in our company 550 people who are a part of it. And they aren't, first of all, employees. They're human beings who happen as part of their life to have a job in our company. And I think the first step is to see them as human beings, not as employees. But when you start accepting everybody as they are and seeing and honoring the authenticity of each individual, you just see the good in everybody. And it's really true across our company and most companies. Most, people people want to do the right things. They want to grow. They want to create value for others. And it's just simpler. It's very simplifying to just meet people where they are, as opposed to feel like because you're the boss or the CEO, you have some unique right to mold people into something you want them to be. That's really just that's hard. That's stressful.
Yeah.
And that won't work. So letting go of that is just really empowering.
That's awesome.
So you found your purpose through your experience with your voice issues. Do you think it's possible for other people to find their calling and purpose through difficult times or times of pain?
I do. I have a dear friend from California who's a psychologist and evolutionary astrologist, which is a great story for another day. But she calls planet Earth the planet of wounds and fear. And when you think about it, one commonality that connects every human is everybody suffers, everybody has loss. It is inescapable to be human and not have setbacks, pain, and suffering amidst all the joy and wonder of being alive. But pain and suffering and difficulty come for us all. And I also think that it would make humanity a much simpler place if we all just acknowledge that despite the differences we see, everybody will experience pain and suffering in different forms. And I think that what's its purpose? Its purpose is, I think, really lessons and growth, and it forces us to really look within ourselves. And if you look, if you want to find meaning in setback, it's pretty much always there. It's really, I think, about being willing to look for it, because I would say at the same time, if you don't want to see it, you're going to be able to not see it,
right?
As well. But yeah, I think this is how we grow. We grow from difficulty.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's a lot of wisdom right there.
But when you think about it that way, it doesn't necessarily make difficulty less difficult, but it does put a little bit of a different perspective on it. It's like, how can I take this authentically tough thing in my life and grow from it? Where's the lesson or the message or the opportunity if I want to extract it? And that's really, I think, how you defeat pain. You don't ever make those hard things go away, but you can really defeat them by growing from them.
Obviously, this is a path that you've gone through. Do you have any kind of insights or suggestions of how people can find the upside in those experiences, or even just how you might have processed that?
Yeah, the one thing I would say there is you have to look inward. That those answers to your unique pains or challenges only live inside you. And in a really kind of distracting external world with all the chaos we live in and the noise and the constant distractions, I think this is one of the real challenges of our age, is can we still take that breath and look within ourselves where the real journey resides.
For sure. Yeah. So I have to ask this. This is, I love, like I said, learning about leadership, and always want to become a better leader. What would you say are 5 qualities that every great leader should have? If you had to just say, these are really important 5 qualities, what would those be?
That's such a great question. And I think different people could build lots of different great lists, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say perhaps this. Number one, humility.
Mm.
Number two, which is probably related to number one or builds off it. Number two, recognition that it's not about you.
Mm.
Number three, respect for others as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, to see the higher purpose of what you're doing on a human scale.
Mm-hmm.
And number five is to see leadership as something to be shared and dispersed, not collected, hoarded, or possessed.
Mm.
That's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, for sure. It's good stuff.
So you've brought a voice to the voiceless. How does that continue to motivate you as a leader?
Well, I just think when you look around the world, I think this is possibly the root of all social disharmony. I have a line on the bottom of every email I send that simply asks this question: what if everybody on earth felt trusted, respected, valued, heard, and safe? What might change? And I think it's possible that everything might change, that all of the social tension we see is a result of people not being helped to feel heard and safe as they are. So I think my answer to your question is what inspires me about this is it's twofold. There's so much work to do on that plane, but second, everyone can change the world because you really change it one human at a time. And every single time any of us help someone else feel heard, trusted, respected, and safe, that's how humanity advances. It happens one person at a time.
Mm. I got goosebumps just sitting here. I've had goosebumps this whole time. I'm like, this is just so good. It's so powerful. It's if we could all wrap our heads around that. I mean, it's true. It's just how powerful would that be? We have an opportunity to really make effective change based on that. What would you say is, one of the biggest lessons or wins that you've experienced as a leader?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest lesson is that less is more.
Mm-hmm.
That having the ability to not act on everything you see and trust that the team, the entire group, is capable, fully capable, more than capable of handling pretty much everything that comes their way. That's for me, been the biggest lesson. I think that really good leadership is about less, not more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a quote that I came across the other day that's totally in line with that, and it was do as little as needed, not as much as possible, which is one of those things that I thought originally, oh, gee, that's easier said than done. And then you read who the quote is by. It's a trainer who is a coach for a 23-time Olympic gold medalist. But it sounds easy, but then you're like, oh, wait, this person was very incredibly successful. There must be something to this.
Yeah.
What a great quote.
Yeah, and but it totally goes in that whole less is more thing.
Yeah.
You trying to do all these things when it really does boil down to something simple. And I like how you said that earlier about how everybody can change the world because we can do that in each interaction that we have. And that's why I think it's so powerful, because it gives us all work to do. It doesn't put it off somewhere else. Like we each have responsibility and something but also responsibility, and it's something that we can actually take action on instead of feeling helpless in that. We can actually, even if it's a simple thing, a lot of simple things can add up to something really big.
For sure.
Yes. Lovely.
So this is a question I'm always anxious to hear the answer to. But who or what inspires you, either professionally or personally?
Yeah, so lots of people, but one that's coming to mind this morning, I'm really have been inspired by the writing and teaching and actions of Gandhi, someone everyone's aware of. I have one of his most powerful, for me, quotes right on my desk in my office, which when he simply said, "Become the change you wish to see in the world." That's such a paradigm changing view. All of us would probably like to see the world be something a bit different than what it is, but how to go about that, as was just said, can feel overwhelming unless you go at it like Gandhi suggested, which is just become that change. Don't worry about creating change in others, create it within yourself. And that is really, I think, the only way to create meaningful change. The one person I can try to get right is me. And I can say from experience, just getting myself right is pretty close to a full-time job. Like, I got to work at it all the time. So I'll say Gandhi today.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I will co-sign on the full-time job of getting yourself right.
Yes. Yes, I completely agree with that.
Sometimes
for sure.
I feel like I put in a little OT each week on that, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Without great results, but at least I feel like I put in a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one question we like to ask, because we love Maine, we love everything Maine, is, what is it that you particularly love about Maine?
Yeah, there are so many things, right? But I guess at the end of the day, I would say the people that live in the state. It's just such a authentic, integral, hardworking, lovably feisty, independent yet neighborly community. There's really, I think anyone who really knows Maine knows there really isn't another community on earth quite like ours.
Right.
and we're lovably imperfect and yet have so many great attributes at the same time. So for me, it's the people.
Yeah. So many great quotes in that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to quote Kevin on this. Yeah. Lovably imperfect. That is, I've never heard it put that way, but that is so true. It's and feisty. I love that passionate, feisty spirit that we have.
Yeah.
Here.
We're feisty, like in the best sense of the word.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that fits.
That
fits. As someone who moved here from away. Yeah, no, I agree.
I love it.
I like that one. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and speaking with us. I think this has been a great episode, and a lot of people are going to probably listen to this a couple of times. I know Kim's probably going to listen to it 4 or 5 times.
Probably like 10.
But this is a lot of fun for us, very inspiring for us, and we will be sure to have links to all of your website and to where they can find your books, and just all the social media information, all that will be in the show notes. So be sure to visit that and to check out the books. We'll probably even put in a link to the TED Talk that you did, because I know Kim would be mad at me if I didn't. So thank you once again for this time,
it's been
and
an
for
honor.
It's been great.
It really has been an honor. I feel just so inspired and just motivated, and just again, just like some of the things you said, it just starts with you and just powerful. I mean, I think this is something that every single person and every single leader needs to hear, and you've really you're a world changer. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for being with us. It's been great.
Well, Kim and Todd, thank you both so much. I've really enjoyed being with you. And when you think about it, we have a bit of a shared mission, because what you're doing with this show is is giving a voice to lots of people across Maine, and I appreciate that opportunity, and I appreciate you. So I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you again to our sponsor, Fabian Oil. Be sure to contact them for all your propane and heating oil needs using the information in the show notes, and thank you for listening.